The movie opens with Manuel, an inmate, facing an interview by the parole board. He repeatedly admits responsibility for his past actions, expressing that he doesn't deserve release. Yet, despite his insistence, the board grants his freedom and informs him that he is now a free man.
You're a free man.
Afterward, Manuel wanders into a subway, clearly disoriented and confused. Eventually, he finds himself in a neighborhood where an acquaintance recognizes him, offering a friendly greeting and congratulating him on his release. Manuel settled into a small, lonely room. Manuel recalls a book outlining 5 steps to make amends: acknowledgement, remorse, restitution, reconciliation with God, and finally, choosing differently when faced with a similar situation. He reflects bitterly, knowing he can't undo his harm to Abner easily or seek divine forgiveness, realizing that time has taken away any chance of true redemption. The man Manuel met earlier reappeared, bringing up Mackie Whitaker and suggesting a liquor store job with Whitmore and Dookie. Manuel firmly refused, despite promises of quick cash and taunts questioning his toughness in prison. Unshaken, Manuel walked away, and as he neared a supermarket, memories of Abner's death flooded back. A nearby payphone suddenly rang, and Manuel picked it up, explaining to the caller he wasn't who they were looking for. When asked where he was headed, he admitted he didn't know. Later, Manuel arrived at a club where Miles Evans assigned him to manage a parking lot in return for safe parking. Miles explained that patrons only needed to listen to him briefly as part of the arrangement. Still unclear on his role, Manuel checked with Senor Aguilera, who explained he was replacing Duane, a no-show employee. Manuel then began signing in his guests, and a woman called him God Boy as she exited. Inside, Miles preached while Manuel waited outside. As the room emptied, Miles informed Manuel he had arranged a $100 room for him, correctly guessing his prison past. Though Manuel mentioned he wasn't religious, Miles handed him the key, offering a parting reminder of God's power. Later, Manuel noticed Aguiar watching Miles's room, observing that no one ever entered and that loud music always played. Returning to his own space, Manuel hung a photo of Abner, staring at it, though still punishing himself. The next morning, while cleaning snow, Manuel was called over to the club, where he found an unconscious woman. From her ID, he learned her name and address, then took her by taxi to her home. The driver mentioned the house belonged to Claire, a singer. Later, he saw a woman walking and, recognizing her, followed her to a market. When she noticed him, he approached, offering to carry her bag. Suspicious, she refused, accusing him of following her before leaving. During a meal at Miles's community house, Miles requested Manuel's help with washing dishes. While taking out the trash afterward, Manuel noticed construction workers dismantling a basketball pole as they cleared the area. Manuel returned to the market to speak with Adele again. He offered her a rose and asked to carry her groceries so she could hold the flower.
Honestly, I have no intentions of harming you.
After walking her home, Adele invited Manuel inside. Noticing the groceries, he asked if she had a large family, and she explained that they were for her clients. He then saw a framed photo of Abner, the boy he had killed. Adele revealed Abner was her late brother. Soon after, her son, also named Abner, appeared, and she introduced Manuel as the man who helped with the groceries. Adele jokingly asked if Manuel was leading up to asking her out, noting her standards had lowered. Smiling awkwardly, he suggested they could grab a meal sometime. She agreed, teasing that he'd better work faster next time. Thanking him for the rose, she expressed interest in seeing him again, and he agreed. Back at home, Manuel was cleaning when Miles asked for help. He explained he had arranged for the county to donate the house and basketball court to the community, but local kids had caused issues. To resolve it, Miles had promised to supervise the kids, though few actually showed up. Miles asked Manuel to organize activities for the kids in the afternoons, since he'd be away for a few days, filling in for a friend. Manuel agreed, gathering the group, but their meeting was cut short when Sophia arrived, mistaking him for Duane. Frustrated, he corrected her, stressing he was not Duane.
Stop that! You stop it!
Manuel escorted Sophia home to return her car keys. Soon after, FBI agents Collier and Pross arrived, asking Manuel if he lived there. He confirmed and presented his release papers from Atboro. When asked about John Gowen, Manuel mentioned a former worker, Duane, he'd never met. The agent seemed to be checking up on him. Miles then appeared, vouching for Manuel's good behavior and recalling Gowen, whom he hadn't seen in a year. The agents left, and afterwards, Miles questioned the purpose of punishing people for past mistakes, suggesting everyone had the potential to change. Manuel, still skeptical, was nudged by Miles to get back to work. Later, Manuel visited Adele, finding her distressed and the police present. She tearfully shared that her son, Abner, had been shot. He accompanied her to the hospital, overhearing Abner's friends discussing revenge. Meanwhile, Sophia came to the community house looking for Manuel, asking the kids about him. In the hospital cafeteria, Adele and Manuel sat together. She was too upset to eat, confiding that Abner seemed to treat his injury as a badge of honor among his friends. She regretted her choices in raising him, admitting she had just been trying to cope, and was surprised to realize she didn't even know Manuel's real name. Manuel apologized, sensing he should probably leave, but she shrugged, saying she didn't care who he was. He mentioned that he had something else to attend to and stood to go, leaving Adele with a bittersweet smile as he took his leave. Manuel returned to the community house and found the boys laughing and chatting with Sophia. Frustrated, he pulled her aside and scolded her, accusing her of taking the situation too lightly. She defended herself, saying they were just waiting for him and passing the time. When he kept his stern demeanor, she teased him, asking if his icy stare was something he picked up in prison. Annoyed, he walked off to his house, and she followed him. He tried to dismiss her, but she insisted on thanking him for bringing her home earlier. She questioned why he seemed to punish himself so severely, especially by spending nights at the community center. Manuel brushed off her concerns, but she suggested making him lunch to lighten the mood. Though skeptical, he eventually agreed, and they went to her house. There, Manuel noticed some tension between Sophia and another woman present. Later, he and Sophia sat down, and their conversations turned to Manuel's painful memory of killing Abner. He described flashes of that night, 3 of them in a tense robbery, feeling an intense anger within him. As he recalled the scene, he vividly remembered Abner's strange, knowing look, as if the boy sensed something profound. The memory haunted him. It felt as if something uncontrollable had passed through him at that moment. The intense recollection left him shaken, trying to process his actions and the inexplicable force behind them. The next morning, Miles came to wake Manuel up, mentioning he'd received a call from Adele. She had asked about him, and, half asleep, Miles mistakenly referred to Manuel as Duane, assuming Manuel had his reasons for keeping things vague. He then hinted he knew more about Manuel's past, asking if Adele was Adele Easley. Manuel realized Miles had done his homework, but reassured him that he wasn't judging him for what had happened. Miles added that sometimes he wished he had the courage to act similarly, though Manuel doubted if he really meant it. Miles then reminded Manuel the community club would open in 45 minutes, and asked if Manuel would handle it. Manuel agreed, and Miles informed him he'd be in charge while he was gone to visit a dying aunt. As he left, Miles reassured Manuel that he'd manage just fine. Manuel took Adele out for dinner, where she began to open up about her brother, Abner, expressing her belief that his killer must have been a cruel person. As she spoke, Manuel was haunted by visions of Abner. Adele then mentioned that her son, Abner, would be released from the hospital the following day, but refused to listen to her guidance. With no positive male role models, he was left influenced solely by his friends, the same friends Manuel had seen before, eager for revenge on the person who shot him. Desperate, Adele hinted that she hoped Manuel might talk to her son. Hesitant, Manuel admitted he wasn't sure he was the right person for the job, but she, unaware of his past, pressed him, calling him Duane and expressing that she had nowhere else to turn. Manuel spoke with Abner, urging him to reconsider revenge, questioning if it would truly help him or improve anything. Abner, pointing to his wound, insisted he had to retaliate or he'll be targeted again. Manuel reminded him of his mother, but Abner dismissed her concerns, focusing on his own plans. When Manuel mentioned knowing his uncle, Abner was doubtful. Manuel explained he was there because he cared about Adele, and, by extension, about Abner. Still skeptical, Abner accused him of being self-centered like everyone else. That night, Abner set out for revenge, but hesitated, unable to follow through. His friends arrived, causing the intended target to flee. Back home, he assured Adele that nothing had happened and that the kid had run off, then retreated to his room. Later, Manuel opened up to Adele, struggling to express that he wasn't who she believed him to be. She quietly acknowledged that everyone hides parts of themselves, sensing his turmoil and gently asking him if he had been hurt in the past. Needing that support, he asked for her help, and she reassured him with a comforting embrace, leading them to share a quiet, intimate moment. Manuel went to the club and found Sophia in a distressed state. Concerned, he brought her back to the community house to help her recover. While there, he noticed Miles rushing in, hurriedly packing a bag. Manuel tried to talk to him about Adele, but Miles, revealing his real name was John, evaded the conversation and quickly left. Later, the kids in the community house, feeling betrayed, expressed their anger over Miles's deception. Manuel wrote a letter to Adele, expressing the weight he'd carried for 23 years, hoping that by revealing himself and apologizing, he could make amends. He realized now that confessing would only ease his own guilt, not truly help her. He admitted he was a murderer and a coward and would always be so. Abner was about to shoot another boy when Manuel arrived and urged him to drop the gun. Abner didn't respond, so Manuel tried to disarm him, leading to a struggle in which Manuel was accidentally shot. Hearing the gunshot, Adele rushed over and found Manuel on the ground. Later, Manuel woke up in the hospital to find Adele by his side. Now aware of his true identity, she admitted she didn't know why she had saved him, but had needed to see he was okay. She said goodbye, firmly asking him never to return to her town, reminding him he had the whole world to go to. Afterward, Manuel went to the community house, handed over the responsibilities to Adele, and packed his things to leave. As he departed, Sophia stayed behind, watching him go. Manuel boarded the subway, settling into a seat as the train moved forward. Despite leaving everything behind, the vision of young Abner still lingered in his mind. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.